Lazy Peon put out a pretty banger video recently I want to watch.
Time that we're honest about the state of the MMO genre, especially Western MMOs, as 2025 has probably been one of the worst years ever for the genre. Like,
damn, is that true, guys? Has 2025 been the worst year for MMOs? I mean, not for RuneScape. I feel like RuneScape's kind of popping off, but like the MMOs in general, I haven't seen much new MMOs coming into the space. I mean, OSRS has been popping off, like I said, but think about the whole MMO genre as a space. Like, I mean, there hasn't really been much coming out recently that has been making big news.
Just when you think it can't get any worse, it somehow does. But these past few months in particular have been brutal. We've had Amazon Game Studios shut down unexpectedly after the recent New World expansion, and as a result, the in-development Lord of the Rings MMO has also been cancelled. Project Ghost, the MMO by ex-WoW and Riot dev Ghostcrawler, was recently cancelled after NetEase pulled their funding. A few months ago, the upcoming ZeniMax Online Studios MMO, Project Blackbird, was cancelled. And very recently, Jackalyptic Games announced that the upcoming Warhammer MMO has also been cancelled after 3.5 years of development.
No!
It genuinely feels like it's all over. The only big MMO releases in the near future are all coming out of Asia. The few Western projects that are still ongoing, we either know nothing about.
Yeah, I'm not a big like Asian MMO. I love Western MMOs. They're more the art style that I prefer to play. And the Western MMOs, no one really makes them anymore. I mean, Ashes of Creation and Riot maybe are the only ones, and who even knows, you know, when those games are coming out. It's been so long.
Or are indie projects that still need a lot of development and may still be years away from a full release. Is there any hope? Mate, I'll do my best to try and find something optimistic, but I can't promise I'm going to make you feel better. It is looking pretty bleak, but there is one positive. Today's sponsor, Old School Runescape. This is my main MMORPG, and it's just released its biggest update yet, Sailing. The first entirely new skill added to OSRS in the game's history. This is a skill that was voted into the game and collaboratively designed by the OSRS community via the player polling system. You'll be able to set sail upon the seas from existing ports on your very own ship that comes in different shapes and sizes as you level up. You'll be able to choose NPC crewmates or invite your friends to help crew your ship. The world's map has once again been expanded with this update, adding over 30.
Damn, everyone got a Old School RuneScape sponsor except me, I think.
New
what
islands.
The heck?
There'll be new sailing themed enemy types, different training methods to gain XP, and it's accessible to everyone, whether you're a brand new player.
Wait, it's probably not smart to give me a OSRS sponsor because the people that watch my videos already play the game. Maybe it's better that they did Moist Critical and this guy.
Veteran Ironman, or a skiller. For me though, I feel like the addition of sailing really just completes the world of Gielinor. Look how clean the new skills panel looks now with 24 skills instead of 23. When you open the world map now, these vast ocean areas are places you can finally actually go to now. I absolutely love OSRS, and it's the perfect sponsor for this video because it has been one of the few massive success stories to come out of the MMO genre in the past decade. I've personally put thousands of hours into this game, and if someone was to ask me what current MMO will still be here 10 years from now, my first response would be Old School RuneScape. So click the link in the description below to play OSRS and try out the new sailing skill now. So what's going on with Western MMOs?
That is true, guys. Old School RuneScape ain't going anywhere.
When people say the MMO genre is dying, what they're really talking about is MMOs from Western developers, as almost every year we do see big new releases from studios in Asian countries like Korea, China, or Japan. Why is this? Well, the uncomfortable truth is that Asia can afford to make MMOs and the West simply cannot anymore. Let me explain. In places like California, Austin, London, or Berlin, the cost of developing a modern MMORPG is absolutely insane, mostly due to wages and the cost of living. If you want to hire a senior gameplay programmer in the US or Western Europe, you're often paying well into 6 figures before benefits, taxes, insurance, studio overheads. The whole thing starts to spiral, but in Korea, in China, even Japan, those same roles are dramatically cheaper, and when you zoom out, it means means
Damn.
a full MMO can be built for a fraction of what it would cost in the West. A Western AAA MMO easily becomes a $100 to $200 million gamble, but an Asian MMO with the same scope might be made for 30 to 50 million. And here's the thing, when your development costs are lower, you don't need to be critically acclaimed to turn a profit. This is why we constantly see Asian MMOs popping up even when they don't set the world on fire critically.
And they just cater to the whales too. They're just pay to win.
Grindy kind of pay to win MMO can still make money in Korea or China because the investment risk is lower, the player expectations are different, and the monetization culture heavily favors cosmetics, gachas, and whales. Some of these games double dip by launching on both PC and mobile too. Even if the PC version flops in the West, the mobile version can still print money in Asia and completely cover the development costs. Meanwhile, in the West, studios need a massive genre-defining hit.
Chat, I hate that mobile games make money. I hate it.
Hits just to break even. If the game launches as merely okay, it's not seen as an acceptable outcome. It's seen as a failure. Investors know this, publishers know this, and that's why so few Western MMOs are even getting greenlit anymore. It's not that the West forgot how to make MMOs. It's that the economics have changed so much that they can barely justify taking the risk. Back in the mid to late 2000s, things were very different. That era felt like the Wild West of MMO development when it came to Western studios. Every year you'd hear about some new WoW killer cooking in the background.
If you're gonna be a gamer, be addicted to a real game. Okay, guys? At least PlayStation or Xbox game. But computer game preferred.
Warhammer Online, Age of Conan, Rift, WildStar, Guild Wars 2, Lord of the Rings Online, SWTOR, even weird shit like Tabula Rasa. It was a constant conveyor belt of big new Western MMORPGs.
It does make sense though that like it's the most accessible thing is having a phone. So like everyone has a smartphone. Dude, there's babies that have smartphones.
Because the genre was the hot investment at the time. Why? Well, blame World of Warcraft. The moment Blizzard proved you could make an MMO and have it pull in literal billions a year, every investor decided, yep, we want one of those. So money was flying everywhere, studios were hiring rapidly, and publishers were greenlighting anything with the letters MMO attached to it. Development costs were also significantly lower back then too. Budgets weren't tiny, but they were still manageable. Vanilla WoW reportedly cost somewhere in the range of 50 to 60 million to develop. Some sources even estimate up to $75 million, which was considered a monster budget at the time, but still nowhere near the $100 to $2 million range that you need today to build a Western AAA MMO at the same scale. Back then, you didn't need motion captured cinematics, fully voice acted quest lines, high fidelity assets, 4K texture pipelines, or decade-long pre-production cycles. A major MMO in 2007 could be made in that $40 to $60 million range or less and still be competitive. The technical bar was lower, the financial risk was lower, investor confidence was higher, and the audience was absolutely starved for anything resembling WoW, but slightly different.
Yeah.
But that era is gone now.
I lived all through this era where I was constantly searching for the next WoW. Never found it. I tried everything. Never could find anything good.
Far more to make. Expectations
Star Wars,
are way high.
Star Wars The Old Republic was good for a little bit. Like, you know, you had like New World, which is good for a week. And then you had like Ion, Age of Conan. All those games were like week-long MMOs, and then you just quit. Guild Wars 2, I played for maybe a couple of weeks. I played Rift for like a couple of weeks. Like it was all a couple weeks, and I was like, this ain't it. It just, nothing ever hit, and I always went back to WoW.
Audiences are more fragmented, and investors would rather make a cheap hero shooter or mobile gacha instead of gambling their future on a decade-long MMO project. Rightfully so, like from an investor point of view, you can understand this. But that's how we went from dozens of Western MMOs popping up every year to barely anything even making it past the concept phase today.
Yeah.
So is there any hope? At this point, you're probably thinking, all right, Peon, this is all very depressing. Please tell me there's at least something to look forward to from the West. And yes, there is some hope, and I pray this video doesn't age poorly, because with how things have been going recently, any one of these could be the next cancellation announcement. Guild Wars 3 is in development.
Oh, Guild Wars 3.
It's not officially announced yet, but hiring listings and internal documents have all but confirmed it.
I mean, it's got to be decent if they're making a third one.
Record. Guild Wars is a beloved IP, and if it gets to a full release, I'd personally expect it to have a high chance of success, considering both Guild Wars 1 and 2
Guys, Shobek played that game for almost 2 weeks, so it's got to be pretty good.
were both successful games critically and financially. The Riot MMO is still alive. It went through a major reboot, the scope was reduced, and a lot of the team was reshuffled, but Riot hasn't cancelled it. Riot Games doesn't work on things forever for no reason, so clearly there's still some internal belief in this project. And then there's a surprising one. Very recent news, Hytale is back. Riot just gave the rights back to Hypixel Studios, and development has resumed under the original team. This was a project that was announced as cancelled earlier this year, so it's quite a nice surprise to see it resurrected again. We have Ashes of Creation, which recently announced it's coming to Steam Early Access on December 12th. This announcement was met.
Early Access is the biggest scam of the 20th century. I don't care what anyone says. They're charging you for a beta. I know that now because I fell for it. I got scammed. $500. Minus 500.
Met with quite a bit of backlash for a number of reasons, and it's a topic that deserves its own video, and I do worry it's going to get negative Steam reviews, with most testers fearing it's too early for early access. But at least this one is actually playable. The gameplay itself is really solid, but it's got a ways to go until it's a complete.
Do you guys remember when they came out with RuneScape Dragon Wild's early access? Bro, I bought that. That game should not have been a sellable version of the game. It was literally a beta. And I fell for that. I fell for the early access thing again. I'm not doing it anymore.
Experience. Then you've got a few smaller scale MMO lights as well as indie projects. For a full list on all of these MMOs, both indie and AAA, as well as some fully released under the radar MMOs, check out my 2 recent videos, every upcoming MMORPG 2025 and beyond, as well as indie MMO devs in 2025 are insane. If you can't find hope in these videos or the current MMOs, then that brings us to the next question. What would it take for MMOs to make a big comeback? Honestly, it's going to take a few things.
I bought that game. I'm waiting for it to be finished. Do you not see that that's the problem with what you just said? Is like, you shouldn't pay for a game and then wait for it to be finished. It shouldn't be like that. The game should be finished when you buy it. That's why it's a scam.
Number 1, a monetization model that isn't pay to win, but still prints money. This is the biggest thing that needs to change if MMOs are ever going to make a comeback. For the past decade, monetization has basically been split into 2 extremes. Western MMOs, cosmetics, optional subs, small battle passes. Eastern MMOs, gachas, power boosts, power selling, progression shortcuts, and everything in between.
Dude, is that why I don't like Eastern MMOs? Because those are all the things I don't like about MMOs. On the right, buying progression. I'm so glad RuneScape 3 got rid of it.
Neither side has fully cracked the non-pay-to-win but
Practically
massively profitable formula. Until recently, a new business model has started to emerge out of China. Free-to-play, non-pay-to-win with cosmetic-only gacha and battle pass. For this to work, the games need to have extensive character cosmetic features, such as player housing with housing items, dyeable outfits, mount skins, animations, player effects. Basically create social features that allow players to flex cosmetics without selling power. If, and this is the key, if the game itself is good enough, this model absolutely prints money. 2 perfect examples where wins meet. This game is basically a full single player wuxia RPG with MMO elements sitting on top of that foundation, with players having the option to play the MMO mode or just enjoy the single player.
Bro, some of my gacha gamer friends play this game and they're trying to like talk it up. I mean, I ain't playing it, but they seem to like it, which that tells me what I need to know about it, you know? And they're still playing it. So I think that for where wins meet is, I think it's a pretty good game.
player mode. The game is zero pay to win, and it's just cosmetic gacha plus battle pass, and in the first month of its Chinese release, reportedly made over $90 million from both mobile and PC. Sword of Justice Online. This is a mobile-first MMO, but it uses the same non-pay-to-win business model. Massively successful in China. Over 40 million players in the first month. Not so successful with its Western Steam release because we understandably don't like to see a hideous mobile UI when we launch a game via Steam. Here's something wild I found. World of Jade Dynasty, another new Chinese MMO that also...
You guys think an MMO kind of has to be mobile-friendly nowadays to survive? They're converting retail WoW to be mobile now. I feel like making your game more accessible and having worse graphics is actually better, because the more people that play the game, the more people will play the game, since having like the most important part of an MMO is people playing it. It's not even the game itself. I mean, having a good game makes people play, but also accessibility is the biggest part of an MMO, because no one wants to play a game that no one's playing. So it's like, dude, you have to have it on the mobile, because that's where the majority of your players will play from, because it's the most accessible thing. I think that that's a huge reason for success for old school RuneScape. And I didn't think it would be a big deal at first, but me being able to log in and play the game on my phone is actually massive. Like, I can play this game from anywhere. And like, I know a lot of you guys are probably underneath your tables at work right now playing the damn game, hiding from your boss type shit.
Uses the free-to-play, mostly cosmetic monetization model. There's a cosmetic dragon mount in the game that's sold for the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of premium gems acquired through gacha. When obtained, it triggers a server-wide special event, and community posts joke about it being the million RMB mount. Apparently, on average, it can cost over 100k USD to obtain, and is a purely cosmetic flex item tied to absurd spending.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop 100k to flex on y'all with a flying dragon. Haters gonna hate.
For the past decade, mobile games have absolutely printed cash from a tiny percentage of players that they refer to as whales, who account for the majority of spending on these games. It seems like the new monetization...
Yo, chat, what RuneScape streamer is most likely to buy a flying dragon emote for $100,000 to flex on everyone? What RuneScape streamer? Odablock? Odablock is most likely to spend 100,000 USD to flex on everyone. Low key, I think, yo, 100% guys, if Odablock put up a sub goal, 100k, I'll buy the mount. How fast you think he would hit that goal? 100k for a flying dragon mount in OSRS, or flying dragon emote. You think he'd hit it in an hour? He hit that goal in an hour.
Monetization meta, in China at least, is to give whales the opportunity to spend big money on these flex cosmetic items instead of buying actual power. Although I think we're still early in seeing this model adopted in other regions, these games at least prove something incredibly important.
His Saudi Prince whales? Does Odablock have Saudi Prince whales? What the heck? I gotta get some of those.
You don't need pay to win if your cosmetic and fashion game is strong enough. MMO players love cosmetics. If you give them good transmog, a proper dye system, player housing with furniture, mount skins, weapon skins, outfit collections, emotes, dances, gestures, seasonal battle pass cosmetics, they will spend a stupid amount of money without ever breaking the integrity of the game, at least to a certain extent. If you then want to capture the whales, you can then also throw in some uber rares via cosmetic gacha, so the gamers who have invested in Nvidia stock can gamble to get their equivalent of an in-game Rolex. The key is to simply make a good game first. If the game is free, has good gameplay, the world is fun, and the social systems are solid, then cosmetics alone can easily sustain a modern MMO. Number 2, regulators clamping down on pay to win. Another weird source of hope for MMOs actually comes from something that most gamers hate. Governments
Pay
getting
to win.
involved, especially in China. According to Reuters, in late 2023, new rules were proposed in China targeting whale bait mechanics, which means no login rewards, no first top-up bonus, no streak spending rewards, spending limits for players, direct purchase options for items normally locked behind gacha, and stricter transparency around probability items.
Yo, low key, man, I kind of like that China did this. They basically are monitoring the gaming companies and their tactics to bait you into spending more money and getting addicted to spending money on the game. That's actually a China W right there. And I think that everyone should do this because these game companies are getting away with this stuff and they got to bring awareness to it. W China.
These changes directly attack the systems that have kept many Eastern MMOs profitable through pay-to-win
It's like
design.
preventing people
South
from becoming
Korea followed with
gambling
its
addicts.
probability disclosure law in 2024, forcing all games with gacha to clearly show the real odds everywhere. We've still got a long way to go until pay-to-win is regulated completely out of MMOs, but if China and Korea keep pushing in this direction, developers may be forced towards the exact monetization model that Western players actually want. 3. The possibility of AI reducing development costs for MMOs dramatically in...
I also remember China, I also remember China having different loot rates on the China servers because you couldn't have like they couldn't have like a 3 to 5% chance of getting something. You had to know what the exact loot chance was of that item. Like you couldn't have flexible loot chances or something like that because of the China law. So it was like it had to be like a 3%. And you had to know that you had that much chance of getting it if you killed that boss.
In the future. Controversial topic because it means people losing their jobs, and at this point I'm sick to death of hearing about AI.
There could be no room for gamble.
Absolute slop fest these past few years, and I'm honestly not convinced it's even going to be a net positive for humanity. However, we have already seen people use AI to help with asset generation, animation blending, procedural dialogue, world building tools, and QA automation. If AI tools can cut MMO development costs by even 20 to 30%, maybe just doing a few mundane tasks here and there, then that's already massive. Suddenly, the genre becomes more financially viable again for studios that previously couldn't justify it. And if AI gets to the point where one artist can do the work of 5, one designer can generate hundreds of quest variations.
Can you guys imagine one day AI can just create you an MMO in like a few minutes? And you're like, yeah, give me like a Lord of the Rings fantasy MMO where I play a berserker and my goal is to like save Princess Peach. And it like just cooks you up something.
Then that changes everything. I don't think it's going to magically resurrect the genre overnight, but over the next 5 to 10 years, this could potentially be one of the biggest factors that brings MMOs back. Number 4, a breakout hit from either side. The truth is, one massively successful MMO, whether Western or Asian, could completely shift investor confidence. All it takes is one game that proves that you can still make $1 billion MMO in the 2020s. Another World of Warcraft level success. If that happens, money will flow again, studios will pivot, publishers will chase the trend as they always do.
Damn, are MMOs ever gonna be as great as they once were? I feel like peak MMO was like Wrath of the Lich King timing was when everyone was playing MMOs. I don't know if we'll ever get there again. I think MMOs are kind of a dying thing.
The 2012 era of constant MMO launches could absolutely return. But that's me reaching dangerous levels of hopium. So much so, it's probably
unless
best
Riot
that we wrap
MMO
up the
pops
video here
off
before I get sent to the hospital for an OD. Real talk though, I don't know what the future holds. I can't predict anything, and as a content creator covering this genre, I've really had to do my best to try and stay positive these past few years because no one wants to come home from a long day of work, watch one of my videos and only hear negativity. I'm someone that gets genuinely depressed when there is no hope, so I'll always do my best to try and find it, whether that be with games, real life, health, work, or with the future in general. Maybe sometimes I come across as unrealistic, or maybe in the past I've gotten you excited for a game that turned out to be disappointed. Sorry if that's been the case. But I do promise you this, I do genuinely love this genre and I just want to see it thrive again. As always, let me know what you think about the MMO genre in the comments below. Which one of these recent cancellations hurt you the most? And do you have any hope for these upcoming releases? Help us out with a like and subscribe to the channel for more MMO coverage. Social media on screen. Thanks for watching. And click the video on screen to watch my deep dive into the absolute shit show that was the era of Kickstarter MMO.
Nice video bringing awareness to the MMO genre. W video to Mr. Lazy Peon.